we have Mr. Will Diaz. Will, how do you like your migas?
I like my migas ranchero style. Oh, no, my wife's telling me how I like my food. Oh, wait a minute. She makes my food. That's right. How do I like my food? A la mexicana.
A la mexicana.
And they got to be crispy, dude.
Are we using real tortillas or are we using chips?
Okay, check this out. I freak out when let's go to the restaurant. I order my migas and I order them the way I like them. And then they ask them, would you like them with flour or tortilla? And that's where I have a dilemma. Do I wrap my migas with corn tortilla, which they are already?
Are you talking about in a taco?
Yeah, no. You can get a plato and they still ask you, they give you the
tortillas. Yeah, you get tortillas on the side. Yeah.
Yeah, but they ask you, would you like them with corn or would you like them with flour?
I've never had that. Really? They will make them with flour tortillas.
Yes. And
I never did that.
So I'm perplexed sometimes and I usually go with corn. So I'm wrapping my migas, my egg and miga ranchero style with corn tortillas.
Okay. Now let's take it back to homemade style when you eat it at home. Because that's the true essence. I mean, I've had problems with restaurants, honestly, how they like to present the migas and stuff like that. How at home, what is the preference? Is it chips? Are you actually using corn tortilla? Corn. So you're using it raw, the corn tortilla, and then you fry it up yourself.
Yes, and you can either use a yellow corn tortilla, or a white corn tortilla.
What do you prefer?
Yellow.
Okay.
Yellow. So when I cook it, my wife cooks it 99.9% of the time for me. And whatever she serves on the table, however she does, I'll eat it. I'm not going to complain. Mm-hmm. But when I cook it, I get the corn out. I get like maybe 4 layers of the yellow corn tortillas stacked. 4 tortillas. And I'll cut them in. Yes, and I'll cut them in squares.
How you cut them? Knife, hand, what?
I cut them with a knife in squares.
Okay.
Squares, and then I get a little bit of oil in the pan.
What kind of oil?
And get it nice and hot. And then I get the corn tortillas and I lay them individually.
Go back. What kind of oil are we using? Are we using corn, vegetable? We're using lard. What are we using? Olive oil. Canola. Okay.
So
and you lay them flat.
Get this. Yes, I lay them individually in the hot pan with canola oil, and they have their individual space. They're also spaced out because if you don't want to overlap them
because then they stick. Yeah,
they stick together, and you don't want that. I mean, it's okay, but I prefer my pieces of corn tortilla migas to have their own definite shape. Their own space. Their oneness. I guess that's what I'm saying. Oneness. So after that's done, I bring them out of the hot pan. I lay them on a paper towel. And this is where the magic happens, Rob. You salt them at that stage. Fresh out of the pan, still sizzling. You salt them right then and there. Salt them evenly, not overly. And making sure. And that is where the flavor
So right off the bat,
you're probably wondering
you're making fried chips. You've made your own fried chips. Okay, so you have them dry, and then what happens next? You get the pan all fresh again. You use remnants of the same oil. New pan.
No. I get a new pan. New oil. New pan. A cold pan.
Okay.
I get 2 scoops of Falfurious unsalted butter. I get 2 big spoonfuls. Drop the dollops in the pan.
So we're going with butter. Okay.
Yeah. With eggs, you gotta go with butter. Then I turn on the heat on the pan, and I see that once the butter is kind of melting, I barely melting. That's when I crack my eggs. I put my eggs in the pan. So pretty much a cold pan with eggs and butter. They both melt. The butter melts. The eggs start cooking. And then as they're cooking, I put a little bit of cream in the eggs. Right at that point is when I drop my chips into the mix. Okay. So that way the eggs can cover them up. You know what I'm saying? And then towards the very end, once the eggs are starting to be well done or close to being done, that's when I go ahead and put a little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper, and then I pull the pan off to the side, let it cool. The eggs are still cooking. They're still good. And then I put them on my plate, and then I eat them.
No, okay. So no salsas or anything, or just
Dude, I don't have time, dude.
no. But that's that. But you know what? To eat them that way, a lot. I will occasionally eat them where they don't have anything on them, and sometimes depending on people put different stuff on them. People put picante or
cheese. You can put cheese on them.
Yeah, I've done that before. That's cool. But no, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's a different technique as far as you're doing the chips and then you put them on the side and then you get another pan and you doing that. So that's kind of interesting. I like that.
Because I like them crispy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I mean that's why you keep it in there. The other thing is the way I do it. It's almost a juggling act. It's like a race, and you got to do things at a certain time. And if you overcook something, then you've got something that starts to burn, or the egg starts to burn, or something starts to over toast, or something like that. You have it in different stages, so that way you control a lot of that. So I think that's kind of interesting. And then the things that you put in with the egg, do you I didn't recall. Do you scramble the eggs? Nope. You just crack them in there and stuff like that into the thing. That's the way I do.
You don't want to. Okay, you don't want to scramble the eggs like whisk them on the side, because then you start changing the structure of the egg,
right?
Where it starts to go into another.
Yeah,
right. I don't want that.
Thing. Right.
I want the eggs whole in there, and I learned this technique by watching Wolfgang Puck cook eggs. Wolfgang Puck, when he gets a new trainee or a new chef in house or something like that,
he tells them to make an egg.
Yes, you've seen it then.
I've seen him. Yeah, I've seen Ramsay. That is
that's Gordon Ramsay.
A lot of people want to see how they cook an egg, because then that's going to tell a lot about their character, their technique, and what ends up coming about, because that's the most basic thing that you can cook. So it's very interesting to see that.
And I've always done it like that, where he even takes the pan off the heat and cooks them off the heat, so he doesn't overcook them. He does. It's just a technique he uses. I thought that was. I like that. I thought
well, you're controlling the heat because you don't have that direct heat just constantly hitting the egg, because the egg could be very delicate, and that was the part I was telling you about. If you're not too careful, then you toast that egg, and then that changes the whole taste altogether. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that toasted shit on the egg. I'm not a big fan of that.
No. I like my eggs. I like my eggs slightly undercooked. I don't know what it is. Just has the yolk. I like the yolk in my egg as well. I like to taste all that. But I mean, I can go on forever about.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's what this show's about. I mean, we want to get a sense of what the way people like to eat their migas. Well, what we kind of figured that we want to talk about is it's a very interesting thing. We could either talk about both of them, or I don't know if it just fixes it, because Hal Needham is the director of both of these films, but also the same actor is part of this. One of them is more of a ensemble, and one of them you have Burt Reynolds and then a select cast that's available. The other one is more of an ensemble piece, but Burt Reynolds is a pivotal character. But then you have all these teams, which is the Cannonball Run, and then you have Smokey and the Bandit. Did you watch either one of them in a certain order? Did you watch Smokey and the Bandit and then caught that, because they came out pretty much back to back?
Smokey and the Bandit first.
Where did you see it? Where did you watch it?
I watched it on cable television, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah. I really, it was the car. It was the car.
So you knew what you were getting into when you saw this. It wasn't like, hey, this is coming on, and then you didn't know what it was about. You already knew that it had something to do with the car.
They could have called it Car, and I would have watched it because of that car. Really, it was a beautiful. Do
you remember how old you were?
1983, 45, probably.
So you caught it after it had been in circulation a little bit, because that film did come out a little bit.
Yeah, because it came out
in late 70s, early 80s, something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe around 78, 79.
I think so.
Probably.
Based on the car. Yeah.
Yeah. Was the movie really to sell the car? I doubt it, right? I mean,
I've always
now that
wondered
I'm thinking
about
about
that. Yeah, I've always wondered about that. I mean, what are you selling? Are you selling beer too? I mean, we were in the era of the 18-wheeler, the CB radios and stuff. So CB radios and 18-wheelers had a big part in this. And then, it's like they took, I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if it was based on anything that was true, and stuff like
well,
that.
I mean, it was the premise is in the Smokey and the Bandit movie is that they're having to get a point A to point B and back to point A within 24 hours, and they were going to go from a dry county where there was no alcohol to a place where they sold alcohol, and then bring it back to the dry county.
Well, was it that it was a dry county, or is it just that particular beer that they were interested was not available? Remember, distribution of alcohol and beer and stuff like that was available in certain areas, and so Coors didn't. I don't know if it was that side of the Mississippi, or I don't know if it was available. You know what I mean? I thought maybe it had to do with distribution, that they didn't have, it wasn't readily available over there, so they had to actually bring it, somewhere over.
I think what's interesting. We should actually look and find out where the Bandit and Smokey started, and then the distance to Texarkana. I want to find out how fast he was going. We could probably figure that out, how fast he had to travel on average to get there.
Average. I mean, I'm trying to wonder what the average speed limit was at that time. That's actually 55. that could be a very interesting math question. Was it 55? I mean, he didn't have a lot of, he was going back roads and stuff like that on some of that movie. Yeah, 55 would not have been a primary speed when you see him going through like small areas. And then there are certain scenes where he's actually on interstate, but it seems like most part he would like bail out when he was trying to hide. Dude, this dude had enough time to go, and here he's the bandit, and he's off a freaking lake and all kinds of stuff, and they're in the middle of a time thing, and he would just have a rendezvous with Sally Fields all of a sudden.
Dude, he did a lot.
Dude, he's over there eating a hamburger, getting his ass kicked, snowman at that bar.
Dude, he did a tandem drive. He was driving tandem with Sally Fields on his lap.
And they would catch up. Like, dude, what kind of time warps did because they're off doing an adventure and the dude's over there, and then he even stopped to pick up burgers at one time.
I never saw him pump gas. Did he ever pump gas? Because I know that damn Trans Am sucked up gas like you won't believe.
Yeah, you figured that we saw the 18-wheeler put more gas than he put gas.
Yeah.
It's like he had it's like the gun of the hero that has endless number of bullets. This dude had endless number of gas in his car.
He never reloaded.
Same with Sheriff. The sheriff's car was falling apart all over the place, and he didn't even fuel up for gas either. And unless they did it when he was eating the burger. There was that one scene, but that's just one moment where he's filling up with gas.
That'd be true. I mean, it's that movie wouldn't stand up today as far as with all the technology. Because I mean, let's map his trip. What would it look like on Google Maps?
We're gonna have a return visit on this show where we actually break down the scientific reality if this could have been done and stuff like that. We suspended belief to see him take off and have all these little delays, because the first part of the trip they got there really fast and they were waiting to get the thing opened. And then they just broke into the thing themselves and then loaded up all that beer by themselves.
That's a lot of beer, dude.
Yeah.
And usually you need one of those, dollies.
Yeah. Well, remember he had the forklift.
The forklift? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
well, but still.
Just because you drive a 18-wheeler and you drive a Trans Am doesn't mean you could do one of those. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, he probably could have. Because he's also a songwriter too. So
Yeah. And that's a great song. That's
yeah.
a classic song. He did a lot of songs on that soundtrack. Jerry Reed.
Yeah. Jerry Reed did. Yeah. No longer alive, is he?
Nope. No.
No.
It's classic songs.
Mm-hmm.
His voice is very, iconic, and it's an interesting group that they put together for that. And then we before we were talking about Jackie Gleason.
Yeah.
Famous from the
Who played his
Honeymooners.
son?
I'm not. He's
His
very,
son did a great job
yeah.
too.
He was very recognizable playing the dimwit, the not so smart,
Son.
yeah.
Now
I don't think we ever saw. I'm trying to remember because I
the,
saw
the wife.
there were 3 or 4 movies, and I don't recall them ever showing her. I just know that he always kept referring that he wanted to go home and beat her up.
The wife.
The wife, the Sheriff
yeah.
Buford T. Justice. Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking, like when this movie was, when I was watching the Bandit, Smokey the Bandit, there was also the Dukes of Hazzard. So I was watching the Dukes of Hazzard reruns as I'm watching Smoking the Bandit. So I was heavily influenced by the car, no matter if it was a 69 Charger or a 79 Trans Am. I mean, and then all of a sudden they bust out with the next one, which was the Knight Rider, which was like an 85 Trans Am. Pontiac Trans Am.
Yeah, during this time, cars, everybody had a massive car. And I mean, that by far is one of the most iconic, Trans Ams. Even from little toys, you would buy it. It's just so recognizable, that bird on the hood of that car. And so, because of that, you want your car to be recognizable. So it launched a series of copycat deals. I mean, if you want to, Dukes of Hazzards, if you want to look it up, there was another movie that was made by the creators of that, and it has a lot of the characters. It has an Uncle Jesse, it has racing, it has a bootleg, a moonshine, and all this kind of stuff. And it was the predecessor to Dukes of Hazzards. They have a lot of the characters. I'm drawing a blank of what it is. So you can probably, if you Wikipedia this thing, you type Dukes of Hazzard, and then it will say what that first movie was, because basically that feature film became the pilot of what became the Dukes of Hazzards. They didn't have the iconic General Lee. No. It wasn't that. It was moonshine something, whatever. I forgot what it was, but it was a moonshine.
I've never seen it.
Dude, it has the bow and arrows, it has all the stuff, the 2 dudes, the car, but it's not the General Lee. And they have the Uncle Jesse, the Roscoe, all those characters are on there. Uncle Boss Hog, the Boar's Nest,
really?
all that stuff is in there. Yeah.
When you find out, let me know.
I bought it. I bought it from my friend who is a diehard Dukes of Hazzard fanatic, Ben Montes. I bought it for him.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, wow, I didn't know about this thing and all this. So if he still has that copy, I don't know, but it is online. You can actually watch it and stuff.
But that early 80s era is like, it's like packed with movies that glorify the hot rod. I mean, and I'm wondering if it had anything to do with Lucas's graffiti. Remember? Oh gosh, I can't remember the name.
American
Graffiti Nights.
American Graffiti. Yeah, you're mixing that. See, that also spurred a bunch of other films like Hollywood Nights. That also took place over there, but it kind of in the car clubs and gangs and stuff like that. But American Graffiti was so influential. Soundtrack, the look, the thing.
Oh my God.
We hadn't seen anything like that. And that also spurred a whole bunch of other copycat movies as well. The gang films.
What I understand about
It's a lot of stuff going on.
what I understand about that movie is while he was writing the film, he was actually listening to the songs that were going to be in the film,
sprinkled in
and
there.
I think they were going to be sprinkled through there. So he was actually already choreographing the music, the soundtrack, while he was writing it. Which I think that is an excellent way of writing. I like that. What happened? Moonrunner.
There it goes. There it is. Yeah, Moonrunner.
Moonrunner. What year was that? What year was Moonrunner? Moonrunners with an S.
Right.
Okay. 1975, dude.
There he is. Yeah, that predates also Smokey and the Bandit
and Star Wars.
Yep. So you start to wonder what was out there from Hal Needham was a stuntman. So he probably had ideas of, cars and this and stunts, and we can make a movie. Because if you really think about it, what strings together, Smokey and the Bandit are a series of stunt gimmicks, and then they have some story. Because you got to get there, and it's a lot of car riding, racing, and all this kind of stuff. There's really not, they do little gags and stuff like that, but it's really not that. We're kids. We wanted to see the cars jumping and all that kind of stuff. So somebody in Hollywood said, hey, you know what? I know this other film that was like that. Let's get that thing in a production, but the car has to be a lot more fancier. Let's, have a General Lee. And the next thing you know, dude, I remember, what was it? Like a Saturday night, wasn't it? Or Friday night? Friday night. We waited to see Dukes of Hazzards. That promos that were coming up telling us that was about to, dude, every kid talked about that. Everybody watched that show, and we all, the horn, jumping that car across the wherever. I mean, that was the best. I mean, you had these two dudes driving around. You had their crazy cousin who, short shorts, whatever, and the Uncle Jesse with the wise old Yoda, like a Obi-Wan Kenobi type of dude. The wise guy. And then you got, think about it. And then you got Boss Hogg is like your Darth Vader, but he wears white instead of black.
Right.
And then you have Roscoe, who's, I guess, his sidekick or whatever. And I don't know, dude. It's very interesting. I mean, you could, they took a mix of that, but put it in the South.
No. So, so now then you have coming out the Cannonball Run, which I think came out a little bit later.
Just a little bit,
maybe 4 years later.
Just a little bit.
Somewhere around there, maybe.
And they have, again, we have
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds. I don't know if Sally Field was in that one, but I know Dom DeLuise was in this thing. DeLuise. But it was a cast of all these people. Barbara Bach was in that thing. Frank Sinatra.
Sammy Davis Jr.
No, not Frank Sinatra. It was Dean Martin. Dean Martin and Sammy.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They were the tandem. We had early Jackie Chan. Yep. And everybody had
the guy from Moon. James Bond, the guy with the golden teeth.
Jaws.
Him.
Jaws. Yeah. He's got a name, but yeah.
Yeah, he got a name.
Richard something. I think that was his name. But yeah, you have a hodgepodge of all these guys, and it's a race. But you know what? You know what also was like that? There was a cartoon where it had all those dudes racing, the Wacky Racers.
Yes, the Wacky Racers, dude.
Yeah, the really
that was Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah, the Hanna-Barbera had their little contests too with the different teams and the really rottens and all that.
The Jabba Jaws.
It all came, it was all happening like that. But the thing is that Hal Needham, the director of these movies, said that the Cannonball Run was inspired by something that they actually really did. They actually really did do the cannonball, and that they used an ambulance. And so Burt Reynolds was playing the Hal Needham character, and they did that race across, and he wanted to make that movie. The funny thing is, try to find that on streaming. You cannot find Cannonball Run 1 at all. You can't find it
But
online.
number one, you can't?
Nope. But number two, you can. You can't find
Why?
number one. I don't know. Copyrights, whatever. I don't know what it is. There's something about that first film. You can't find it streaming anywhere. You can go
Something's
find
up.
you can go find VHSs or something like old DVD or something like that, but that is not available on streaming. You can't stream it anywhere.
Interesting. I wonder
Yeah.
if someone's not signing off on that.
Or somebody's estate doesn't want to sign off on something.
I wonder if it's a Needham estate.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's part 2 and all these Smokey and the Bandit films and all that. I don't know. Maybe it'd be interesting to find out, examining the film itself, to find out what's in there that is holding up that, because for the longest time, Batman wasn't available.
Dude, what I'm thinking, a lawsuit. I'm thinking lawsuit. Someone got hurt in an accident.
A real life crash happened, while they're kind of like a Twilight Zone deal, and they just decided it's not even going to be worth it because all the funds are going to go. They don't want to pay the dude out. They don't want to pay the people out. You know what? I bet you it was stuntmen.
Yeah.
Dangerous stunts. Somebody's stunt guy got either killed or whatever the case may be. I mean, we're speculating. We don't know precisely why this film is not streaming. It's very iconic. We used to see it on HBO all the time. And then it also had the classic ender, just like the Smokey and the Bandit films, where it had the bloopers. Yeah, the bloopers would be at the end, which Jackie Chan also was inspired by that, and he would put those bloopers of his stuff at the end of his films.
Yeah, he was young when I saw that.
Dude, he was very young.
Really young.
He had that hair, and just to get him in there, they knew he was international, and to bring him into that mix. That's very. They
had a lot of foresight.
Yep. They knew that they could probably sell this to the overseas audience. And if you think about it, the way that they sprinkled all these characters, they had the foresight to realize that if we put these certain people in here, we're hitting almost every demo. There's somebody that's going to want to watch it because of the Rat Pack, or Barbara Bach and all this other people that are on the Dukes of Hazzards. Then you got the international point of view, and of course Burt Reynolds and his superstardom and stuff like that. So, and then even sprinkled sports people and musicians and all kinds of stuff. Terry Bradshaw's, Mil Tillis, all these dudes. I mean, he had the country world.
A Saudi Arabian individual in it. The Mercedes was driven by
Jamie Farr.
Is that who it was?
Jamie Farr from MASH. Remember, he had the thing, and
You're right.
Yep.
Oh my God, I never knew that till now, man.
Yep. That's what I'm saying.
MASH was one of my favorite shows.
There you go. He's a person of that cast. There was a whole bunch of people. It's almost like okay, here we're gonna go. Phantom Menace and their pod race, where you have all these multiple characters doing the race around the deal, and they all they're all different characters.
I saw that show not too long ago. That movie,
Phantom Menace,
the first, is really good. Now that I watch it, I used to bang on it a lot, but that movie actually is really good. It's a really good movie.
It's put together, and it's done enough where it sets up a good startup. All the pieces are put there for whatever people want to knock. I saw that thing like about 10, 12 times in the movie theater. And I love the progression as it leads up to the passing of the torch of the mentor, or the Qui-Gon, and his fall had to happen.
Right, but here's what I saw, because I saw that part today actually. That the when Yoda walks in, he's not really keen on Qui-Gon, not Qui-Gon, on Obi-Wan teaching the kid.
Right.
Why didn't he just say, "You're disobeying me, Obi-Wan. This is not cool. This dude's gonna be bad. You're not following the Jedi code. I don't care if you promised him anything. that's not right. You can't do that.
I think it was because he said very much like I don't remember if this is precisely or misquoting it, but he said a lot like your master you are, something that he's so much like Qui-Gon and that you're going to do it anyway, so we're just going to go
Yeah,
ahead
he
and
does
let you
say
do
that.
it.
No,
And they know that, yeah, they know that, and then so in order to keep him in their graces or keep Obi-Wan close, because he be what he ended up becoming, which is a very strong Jedi Master, and they needed to retain him. They couldn't lose him along with Qui-Gon, so they had to keep him close, and so they allowed him. That's my assumption. Now,
I think you're right, dude. I think you're right. Being that I think what you said is correct, because if you're gonna play a chess match and you have a strong, it's that whole thing. You keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Even though he wasn't an enemy, you had to keep him close because his potential. If
yeah, you didn't want them to fall. See, at this point, we're figuring that remember the two that start speaking are Mace Windu and Yoda, and they figured out, because remember the Sith have been gone for so long, but then they said, now we know, was this the Sith that always come in twos, but was this the master, or was this the the what is it? Yeah, which one was the master and which one was the student, or whatever the case may be. Yeah, apprentice.
And that was Darth Maul.
Right, and that was Darth Maul. So they're figuring, wait a minute, there's something more going on here, so that they have to have the thing. They have to figure that out, and they can't have a whole collapse of the Jedis.
Which eventually happened. Not all of it.
Yeah, there's other things that start to happen. They had built up this thing that they felt, I guess, that they were invincible. They hadn't had a Sith appearance in forever, but the Sith were underground, and they figured out a way to infiltrate and
how did they do it? They infiltrated through politics and government.
Right. They got, and then he started working his way up, manipulating Padme, and to give the vote of no confidence, and then that put Palpatine higher into that. We've seen it happen in our own politics, where you put a certain person that now they feel they can control everything. That movie was doing a lot of that.
That movie was made during a special time in our history.
Yep.
A very pivotal time. With the Star Wars, the films, I think one of the most important ones, and I know we're going way off the subject, but when it comes to the canon, I really like the Clone Wars animation series. It's actually, I never watched it because I thought it was a kiddish thing, but I watched it, I took a chance on it. And it's actually it's really deep. It's deep, and I like the relationship between Anakin and Ahsoka, and how they develop, and and where Darth Vader becomes, where Anakin strays away from it. I love that whole development. I recommend that. If you're gonna watch it, you have to watch that to be part of the whole Star Wars thing.
The animated series and the series in general that they're doing on Disney Plus have given us so much in between stories between these films, and have flushed out a lot more of the supporting cast that didn't get any spotlight in any shape or form in a lot of these movies, but they ended up telling us another side away from the Skywalker saga, which is now revealed that these were the Skywalker saga. Now we get to see all these other, characters fleshed out, where we get more of a broader picture. I like what they've been doing with this. I'm not really a big fan of this Boba Fett crap that we saw recently.
The Book of Boba Fett was just, I just think it was just not a strong cast. The cast didn't do justice to the film, because I tell you what, as soon as they brought the Mandalorian in, during the ending of that whole series.
It became the
movie,
Mandalorian all of a sudden. It wasn't even Book of Boba
why
Fett.
is that? Why is it?
We devoted a whole episode to freaking Luke Skywalker training Baby Yoda. What I mean, what does that have to do with the Book of Boba Fett?
Because I think that the producers and those around knew that it was sucking, so they didn't want to they didn't want to screw it up anymore. So they had to put filler in there because I mean the movie was slow. The series was slow. It was slow. So, I mean, it was slow in some parts. I could not handle it. It was just bad.
Yeah,
like bringing in,
and then
like
even
Jabba and the sister, them two coming in.
Yeah,
I mean that I understand that'd have been cool, but the way they did it, it was ridiculous. It wasn't.
There was so much shark jumping in that crap. And then he comes he's riding that stupid Rancor. I'm like, what's going on? And then you had these moped weirdos driving around.
A lot of people were upset with that, dude. They didn't get that. And that cast, I don't know what they're trying to do with that cast. Like that group that I know, to me, they're trying to appeal to different demographics on that.
I would have loved to seen an Alamo situation, which was actually starting to happen, where they were all forced into this area. And if it was systematically just killing, knocking them all off, and then to the point where it's like, a crushing defeat of some sort.
Yeah, but they did that in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I know. It's almost
and
like
that was they're rehashing that stuff again. Now, going into a different series on the Disney thing, which one is the one, the Obi-Wan series, the one I had, and believe it or not, I have not finished it. I'm about 2 episodes away from finishing it. But the scene where they're in the shuttle bay and he has Leia under the cloak and hiding her while Obi-Wan's walking out.
Yeah.
That scene where that one ship comes in and just like stalls in the middle of the bay and starts shooting. I mean, dude, come on, man. That was ridiculous, dude. That was bad.
Yeah.
That was crap, dude. I'm sorry.
I was kind of surprised at that. I liked the chemistry from the little girl, the little Leia, but what was it? But it started bothering me. I'm like, well, then why didn't we have more remembrance? See, that's the problem, that we're doing that, and that it's like now you're putting layers that are disrupting. Now they did try to correct some things about how he remembered, and that was between Anakin and him, and so that kind of tried to fix like the problem that they were running into when they started doing these
bridge the gap. But no, you're right. If a pair of individuals, regardless of the age difference, went through an ordeal like that, they're gonna be besties till it ends time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That holographic message that R2 delivered to Obi-Wan would have been like, Obi-Wan. It would have been more. It would have been more. It was more business-like than personal. It could have been more personal. There would have been like a one of those bestie names like Obi. Hey Obi, something cute like that. But there wasn't.
Yeah.
So that tears down the whole bridge, man. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that.
And then I mean, unless what's his name gets conked in the head later on, and Obi-Wan doesn't remember anything at all. It's like, how can you not remember droids? I don't remember ever owning a droid. And then, this lady, Leia, I don't know this girl. And then it's like, you know what I mean? And it's Luke, you need to do this. It's like, dude, you knew who they were. You knew their brother or sister. This is your sister. You need to go save her life. No, you're going to let them have potential incest relations later on. This dude was manipulating all this story the wrong way. It's like, what were you thinking, Obi-Wan?
And is it true they edited out the kiss between Leia and Luke in the new productions, the new videos, the new whatever?
What do you mean? You're saying that the
new version, they edited that kiss out between Luke and Leia.
I would have to
edit it out.
I would have to look
It's
at
no
it
longer
again.
there.
Really, I'd have to. I don't recall that. I'd have to look at that. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's all part of a joke. It's all part of the
Yeah.
thing because it was setting up a potential triangle, and it had always set that up. Like, I'm
I
Luke
think that's what it
Skywalker.
was.
I'm here to save you. It was all like that, dude. It's but I don't
I think that's where it was going.
To me,
Is
though,
it?
let's do this. Anakin Skywalker, one of the most ugly turn of event freaking characters, goes around wiping out everybody and they don't recognize his freaking name. I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to save you.
What? You're Skywalker?
What? Skywalker? Holy shit, this
Get it out of here.
Yeah, we already know who your dad is. You know what I mean?
They would run away, dude. They would be like, it's like if I said if my dad was like a mafia boss or something, and all I had to do was mention my last name when I walk into the restaurant, and I would get like 2 quesadillas or something.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, what's his name? Escobar. Yeah, my name is Will Escobar. Holy shit, are you related to? Yeah, you know what I mean. It's like, I don't know. I've always had a weird problem with that. Whenever they said his name was Anakin and that, he butchered all these freaking people and all this kind of shit. It's like, dude, he wiped out all those Jedi. He ended the whole Jedi thing. Everybody forgot that in history. And then here comes this guy named Luke Skywalker, 16 years later? And everybody completely forgot that this dude's...
George Lucas, if George Lucas had continued writing this, you think
why would he have kept the name, bro? If they're trying to keep him hidden, why did they keep him with a Skywalker name? And then
that's because
that's the biggest problem right there. That right there is a whole problem for this thing.
Should have been. What was his uncle's name? Owen what?
Lars Owen. I don't fucking know, dude.
The drummer for the Cantina.
Baru, Owen and Baru, or
yeah. What was their last name? He should have just taken their last name.
I don't know. I thought it was Lars. Baru Lars. I don't know.
But if you remember correctly, the marquee for Star Wars had Luke on the front with Leia wrapped around his leg, right?
Yep.
Was that the cover?
Yep.
The intention all along was that he was supposed to save the damsel in distress and to win the girl.
He swings across for luck.
What happened? Where was it?
Return of the Jedi.
But why?
Dude, 3 movies before they established, like, wait a minute. Let's go ahead and make them brother and sister.
But why? Why? I don't get it. What was the necessity behind that?
Because they realized that if he was going to be a Jedi, a true Jedi, he couldn't have a girlfriend.
Like a priest?
Yeah, like a priest. Think about it. They remember. Look at the what they've established. You couldn't have a relationship. And then that's why Anakin couldn't have a girlfriend, but he ended up secretly having.
Yeah,
got married.
You can't have any attachments, right?
Right. Very monk-like. Very
very priest-like.
So it's like he became somebody totally different, and then you got Han Solo acting like a dumbass. Well, I'll step out of the way, and you guys can do whatever.
No, you dummy.
No, he's my brother. What the freak, dude? Oh, now I feel like a dumbass. Well, he's probably thinking in his head, well, why did you kiss him like that, you freaking weirdo?
No shit, dude. Then the freaking Ewoks.
Even Chewbacca's probably going, probably freaking out too.
Oh, geez, dude, that's funny.
That whole series gets problematic really quick unless they want to be like English royalty.
I can't watch it I can't watch Star Wars: The New Hope I can't because they have that one scene where Han is walking up an imaginary staircase and walking down while talking to Jabba the Hutt by the Millennium Falcon. I can't watch that imaginary staircase, and then I do. That just bugs me so bad that I will not watch the film. Bring me the old stuff.
I have a a Japanese DVD. It was from the Laserdisc transferred over, but it's the original, all three
Yeah,
movies.
I used to work at a mom and it was latest and greatest videos, and they had laser discs there. That was one of the laser discs they had, and I regret not like watching the laser disc and like not and not returning it. You know, that'd have been so cool.
Oh, the infamous, the infamous thing. There was a lot of switching around, going back to really quick from Star Wars. They were trying to set up, boy saves girl and they're together, and then you have, the smuggler guy who, because it's that scene. He goes, "So, what do you think about, a guy like me?" No, and he's quick to like shoot it down. Though Luke still thinking that he can have a relationship with the princess, not realizing that that's his sister. What kind of demented? See, it was never it was never written that they were going to be brother sister. It never was. And it wasn't until if you think about it, they did the same thing in Empire Strikes Back. If you analyze those things, but what happened is that it started building the relationship. They needed the triangle to still happen, but then them being together allowed them to get together. Still,
it created tension. That triangle created tension for the audience. That's a technique, I think, in writing or script writing.
Right.
That you need that tension.
And then it was revealed later on. See, because we get a hint of it saying that, well, he didn't finish his training. And then it was like, well, there's another. And then I think that's at the in Empire where he says, Obi-Wan and Yoda are talking and like, no, he can't leave. You got to finish your training. He goes, no, I got to go save my friends. And then he goes, well, he was our only hope, which goes back to R2-D2 and the message. But then that's when Yoda says, no, there's another. So what? Freaking Obi-Wan Kenobi forgot again that Leia was the twin and potential other. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of crap, dude, that these films start falling apart. We hold these films like these mighty things, and we complain about the Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian and this, that, and the other, and the prequels and this, that, and the other. But the original films were flawed to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
They had, but we held them up as holy grails. That there was nothing that nothing could penetrate those films. But if you really analyze those films from start to finish, they were flawed. I always had a problem with them. Well, I didn't. Which one was your favorite out of the original three?
Return of the Jedi.
Well, that's because of your age.
Yeah,
I think because of your age. My brothers, that's Return of the Jedi.
On, dude,
mine was Empire, but Return of the Jedi, because of my age, I couldn't get into the Ewoks, bro. The Ewoks bothered the shit out of me. I love the whole dark costumed Luke, that darkness that he could have easily gone to the dark side. Easily. Or he was already teetering on that edge, down to the point where he's dressed up all in black, dude.
Yeah. I mean, right there after that, I mean, you got comic books from Dark Horse that show Luke, putting up his hand to one of those AT-AT transports and then crushing the whole thing with the Force.
Like his dad.
Thought Darth Vader was badass, and thought Darth Vader was badass in Obi-Wan. I mean, this Luke was badass. He crushed it to a can. I mean, it was that powerful.
And it's interesting that you see Darth Vader at that maximum power when in the Obi-Wan series. He is wielding some ungodly power, where to the point where he's bringing ships down and crushing them, and he's doing all that what we saw Luke doing in those Dark Empire and Heir to the Empire shit and all that stuff that never really got uncanon. They removed it from canon.
And I was upset that was uncanon, because I thought that was so poetic. It was beautiful, the way they had made him. One of the quotes, paraphrasing, is that to be able to defeat the dark side, you must know both sides of the Force.
Right.
Much like Mace Windu. in similar fashion.
Yeah, I like the idea that they're throwing around the idea that they may bring Mace Windu back in some shape or form. I would love to see how that would play out. I think that I'm very excited to Andor. I love Rogue One, and I love what they established. But now we're going to go back, I guess, and see how the rebels kind of formed. I get worried about that because you know I like what they're kind of doing with some of these things, but then they give you a different preview, and then it's like it opens up another can of worms. The universe is so big, and I'm pretty sure you've seen posts like this. The universe being so big, but they only still concentrate on this set time period. You know what I mean? It doesn't expand farther into the past. The Jedi's from the past, the Sith art wars and stuff. We're still concentrated on this.
What is it? Before the Battle of Yavin, after the Battle of Yavin, we're in that timeline. Is the Battle of Yavin is the point? Before or after? I think right now on Disney we're watching after the Battle of Yavin. Is that correct? I'm not sure.
It just depends. Yeah, some of these movies kind of sneak in there. Yeah, Andor's going to be before, and then you got Mandalorian that's after. So they're just kind of going all around and stuff. I don't know how successful a outside of this era film will do. I know that now they're throwing in Lawrence Kasdan was saying that the potential to see a revisit Solo, but as more of a series, and so that way we can get more, broader shows. I just think that when you make a series, there's a lot more that you can explore than just a film, and so I'm kind of anxious.
I think they should go 2,000 years into the future. Star Wars 2,000 years from now.
What about going back to the past? I'm talking about. Remember, there was like 1,000 years or whatever it was where they had no Sith. What about when they were and everybody's going ape shit? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. To me, it's I don't know. I don't think anybody would be satisfied. I'm just going to say that. Star Wars fans shoot down everything that's there, and they're ever since even the new series. I like the new 3 films with Rey, and everybody wants those to be erased and deleted. Guess what? Do you remember when they used to do that with Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones? And they said they didn't want those to exist.
And now we love them. I love them.